Hello everybody and welcome to a new like poker stream. As usual, I had issues setting up the stream. I don't know why it is so difficult apparently for this channel, but I think we managed. So after a while, can play. I'm gonna call here with 7-8 suited, not the best flop. I'm gonna check fold here probably. While on table 2 with 10-9 off, we are gonna raise first in from the button. I'm not gonna call a shove for 40 blinds, obviously. Queen 8 off, not a nice hand to play. Okay. Some folds. 9-10 off on table 2. Gonna call versus a 2x raise from the small blind. Probably not gonna fold the flop if he bets. Once he checks, we try to win the spot right now. He may have some traps, check raise, stuff like this, but if he check calls, I think I'm gonna bluff this one. No need to place overbets and stuff like this, I think. And he folds, which is nice. On table 1, we have 7-9 off. We see bet the flop, but we are not going to continue here versus a recreational. Do not have any fold equity. Table 2, we are going to 3-bet versus the cutoff raise. I think he's a regular from the stats. Not completely sure. How many 4-bets we just fold? Especially deep stack. Something we don't like. Table 1, we go to isolate the UTG. Unluckily, the isolation was unsuccessful because even the small blind called. Gonna check back. If they both check on the turn, I'm definitely gonna bluff some. This is probably not the best to bluff, but I think I'm gonna call a 2x raise. We may have some showdown value. Of course, if this guy doesn't raise, we do call. And let's see. I mean, the price was ridiculous, of course, and we just fold here. Table 2, we are gonna fold with Jack 7 suited. Let's go to the 5-6 on table 1 instead, and we can 3-bet in position. If we think it's a regular, we can also call in position a 4-bet, but just fold, so not gonna happen. 7-8 off. Okay. 10-9 off. And ace-4 suited. We are going to raise with ace-4 suited. King-9 off. Gonna fold. Jack-6. Gonna fold as well. Pocket jacks. It's definitely gonna be a squeeze. The UTG Razor is also a bit stationary, which is obviously a great news when you have a value hand. And let's see what he does. Table 2 with 3-bet with Queen Jack suited. This flop hits. We are versus a recreational player. We are gonna bet the flop. Frequently on the turn. Maybe not this turn. And he donks bet both. We just fold here. Just fold here, pocket fives, we raise from UTG, we get a couple of calls. Nope, in a 4-way pot, I'm not gonna bet this one. Nor this one, of course. 3-bet in position on table 2 versus UTG +1 raise, which folds, which is okay. King deuce. Raising. not gonna call a 2x spot, I would say. 8-9 off. Will defend versus a button or small blind raise. Not versus a UTG +1 regular. $10-8. Nope. Jacks. Make it 3x versus a very bad big blind, and also pretty bad small blind. This guy 3-bet, I don't think it is profitable to 4-bet recreational this much. I mean, it depends on the recreational. The more they are stationary, the more it is profitable to 4-bet them, of course. But in general, since they're not that crazy pre-flop, I think calling is usually a bit more profitable, especially when you flop a set. Can't be that bad. And we are going to check all this. May check raise the turn. I think he's gonna bet too much and maybe not be able to follow some things. He checks back. Shoving is an option. He may have queens plus sometimes, and I don't think he's gonna fold them at this point. I don't see a lot of value in betting small, especially when I have 2 jacks, and he's not gonna have a jack X that much. We had many options though. Table 2, we do raise with 5-6 suited. I'm gonna check in this multi-way pot with my open-ended. I don't want to make the pot huge right now. I bet and a call. I am gonna call, but I'm not super happy, of course, from this situation. We are gonna check on the turn. The 4 is gonna freeze the action versus 2 recreational players sometimes. Not this time, apparently. And we're just gonna fold out of position. I think we just have too many reverse implied odds and not a lot of implied ones. Pocket 5s. We are going to raise in position versus a limper. Big blind calls, and this guy as well. With 1 and possibly 2 sticky players, I don't think betting here is much profitable. We are gonna bet though this set on table 2 on this monotone board. Again, big on the turn. He quickly called on the flop, meaning he could have a flush draw very frequently, but quickly falls on the turn, so maybe not. Table 2, we have Jack 8 suited. We do raise and see if we can play with the blinds. Nope. Fine as well. Ace check on table 1. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. King 10. Gonna be a fold. King 9. Normally it's not a raise from here, but given the big blind, I don't mind widening my range. Same on table 2 with a recreational here and another one on the big blind. We are simply not gonna get enough 3-bets in general. Okay, that's an interesting flop. Many things are possible. I would say check raising also is interesting versus a recreational player. He checks back. I'm gonna check and probably call. Bluff catch some rivers. When you check back, I think we're gonna try to get to showdown and possibly win versus some of his hands. Yeah. Jack 10 off. Raising, quite standard. King 10 suited. We have a limp. A regular is isolating. We are gonna just 3-bet big. Fold into 4-bet, unluckily. I don't think it's gonna 4-bet enough when I make this line. He calls, and this flop is tricky. Tricky the least. I don't think we should bet any 2 cards here. I'm gonna check, see what he does. Checks back. Okay. I'm gonna check, you know. I don't think it's folding much. And I don't have also blockers right now or later, so I'm just gonna fold. While on table 1, actually, we check back. We are gonna call the turn. Well, unless villain recreational overbets. In this case, we're just gonna fold. King 6. The raising is fine. I'm gonna mix this. Sometimes I'm gonna bet, sometimes I'm gonna check in this dynamic. This time I think I'm gonna check, but wouldn't mind betting at all. That's a nice turn. I'm gonna bet now. Not even small, given the multiple draws out here. Okay. Table 1, we squeezed with King Queen. Unluckily, both of our player opponent called, and this flop hits. I'm gonna start with a check, then I'm gonna evaluate if to call or raise or do something, or to just fold. When this guy bets this big in a 3-way pot and is also somewhat short, I think we should just fold. Pocket 5s. Put down the music a bit. Okay. We're gonna call here, given that there's also a limper, which is probably gonna be nice to have in the game. So we are gonna check, we are gonna bet on the turn. Could have bet bigger though. And on this river, I am just gonna bet big, yeah. I think it's the best course of action. Table 2. We have a nice flop. We called on the big blind versus the sky, and we are gonna raise on the flop. We definitely have pocket raise, pocket 4s, 3-4, raise 3, ace 4, 5 deuce. Lots of value there for us. Queen 10 suited. We are going to squeeze. This guy calls on the small blind. Our only opponent. We are gonna bet the flop. Probably gonna fire again on this turn. It's close because, you know, sometimes he's going to bet shove and it's gonna suck. But now when he called twice, is he really folding on the river? I don't think he's folding on the river, especially on this river. So I think here giving up, unluckily, it's just our best choice. That's fortunate. Or unfortunate. Would have been good to have to hit a flush. Boy. That call was wow. Guy was weaker than it looked like. Stable or soft, man. Jack 7. Folding. Aces on table 2, we do raise from UTG with a big blind who is a recreational player. We can also make it 3x. It's not because we have aces, just because we would open with this sizing no matter what, if we think he is weak enough. Can play that, and can play S5 as well. Too bad. Jack 10 suited though. Big blind is a recreational, we do raise. Do you want to play with us? Come on. Oh, well, maybe you're a little bit too interested in his hand. I think we should just fall to this huge size from a recreational, who is also short. Jack 6 suited, we do raise from the bottom, but we have to fold to a 3-bet. If we can open this with 2 weak blinds. This also might be interesting, I would say. We have a limp from the button. Small blind may be a regular. I remember his nickname somehow, but might be wrong. Whoa. Should he just call to a size like this? I mean, raising here would be insane. Oh boy, what's happening here? Oh, this guy has aces. He limped on the button and made this. It's always aces. It's aces. It's so much aces. It's so much aces that I'm gonna fold queens. Nice hand. Table 1, we are going to keep firing here. Ace 10 off. Cannot really call to a 3-bet and a call. Hello, Hark Niku. I am from Italy, as my accent may suggest. Or not. I don't know. Some people say my accent is not Italian. I would say my accent is very Italian. Maybe it is weird Italian, but it's Italian. So yeah, I'm from Italy. 7-8, and we just have a 5x. Not Nietzsche. Not nice. 8-3. Gonna check fold this one. 10-9 off. Too weak to raise, I would say, in position. Well, no. No problem there. Okay, 9 off. Are we going to defend versus the small blind? Yes, we are. We could make some 3-bets and some calls. I'm gonna call this time. We have interesting blockers here. I don't think I'm gonna fold if he bets. We're gonna call and then reevaluate on the turn if you want to bluff sometimes. I mean, if you bet raising, I would say could be an option sometimes. Could also float, bluff some rivers. Not the best river to float. Are we ever ahead? I think we are sometimes. I don't like bluffing because we block some of his fault that we could beat sometimes. And he has bluffs which we beat. 6-7, 7-9, 10 jack, stuff like this. So just wanted to show them. Not the 4-5, unluckily. I would have bluffed, of course, clubs or diamond. That's why I float on the turn. Feel like we can call here versus a recreational player, and I am going to check call the flop unless he makes it huge. He doesn't. I would say versus a bad player, something like this would work just nice. If he raises some folding, if he calls, we may be ahead. Oh, this river. I think he's gonna check back if he has an overpair with no hearts. And if he bets, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of bluffing range, to be honest. So check fold, I would say, is fine. Yep, I think it's the best line. Ace deuce, we do raise, and ace queen. We do raise as well. Ah, ma sei italiano? Se però non è italiano, chi rinnovo? No, non è italiano. Il nick, poi vabbè, nick. A cadenza russa, ma... Ciao, Carmelo. There are more Italians than foreigners here. Foreigners, what an accent. Foreigners. Many options here. I don't mind to bet versus a short player who is gonna be more face up than most players. Block betting here is an option. Check calling also, given the amount of equity we have. I'm gonna check call this time. Oh boy, he is making it very difficult for me to call. We are going to donk bet if we hit, because he's not gonna pay us otherwise. It's close, given that we will shove if we hit. I think he can call here and shove if we hit versus a bad player. Nope. Can he bluff this? I don't think. It's too short to bluff. He's not gonna fold 2-person stuff. Okay, we'll let him. Jack 8 off, we fold. 10 deuce off, we fold. Ace 6 suited. It is going to be a raise. If everybody has folds, could be also 3-bet in position, why not? Can we call a 4-bet if he 4-bets? Deep stack is close. The good thing about ace 6 is that when we have a flush, we have the nut flush. So when we get this cooler, we are on the right side of it. But it makes it a bit big, and I'm not in love with the hand. And also I don't have a huge amount of info, so I think folding is slightly better. We are going to bluff here. We can float on the flop. We are gonna, well, call on the turn as well, I guess. Call mostly on the river unless he makes it 20. He doesn't. Can we have a raise? Too thin to raise. Completely random line from my opponent. Okay. Okay. Queen 9 suited. We are going to raise versus a very weak big blind. But we're going to fold to 3-bet. Ace 5 off, fold. Ace 5, 10-7. King 10. And Ace Jack. Ace Jack will go for a raise. Okay, nothing to do here. Check deuce. Ooh. Ace 7 off. I mean, we had some nasty spots, but I think we managed it quite nicely so far. 3-betting this versus a regular and calling a 4-bet is quite standard, given we are 150 big blinds deep. But he folds, which is still nice. Ace deuce and 10-5, ace deuce. Guess we are gonna fold versus the cutoff. Do not play too much offsuit aces from the big blind. They're terrible hands. This is much better. 3-bet is fine, and if he 4-bets, you know, we can also just call the 4-bet. It's still profitable. Sometimes I like to do that. Shoving is fine, of course, as well. Flop is nice. Could also fast play this hand here. Ah, nice, Baba Yaga. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? But big call a shove if he wants to shove. I think I already asked you in the past, where are you from in France? I lived nearby France. I lived in Germany, close to Alsace. I don't know if you're from that area. No, I'm gonna bluff this turn. Too ugly to bluff. Quickly checks back on the turn. I think he could have... I mean, I don't think he has a 7. I don't think he has a jack that much. Could have a lot of 8, 9, 9, 10. I could do some very sick call here with king high. Let's see. Okay, his deuce also was an option, of course, but he's not gonna bet that on the river. Queen jack. I'm gonna fold versus UTG regular. Fold in the 5-8 suited. 10 jack and 10-9. 10 jack we are going to ISO versus a cutoff limper. We got a couple of calls. I don't think we have a lot of fold equity on this board in a 3-way pot. I think I would have bet maybe if I had a spade sometimes. Without, I feel like checking is just slightly better, and we will eventually bluff some turns. Now if they both check, bluffing I would say is okay. Some of them bet, unless he makes it really small, I think we are just going to fold. Okay, we make an attempt on winning this flop. Do we have any river bluffs? We could sometimes, but yeah, better to win it there, I would say. Ace 3 suited, we get a 4-bet. We are in position, slightly deep stack. I think we should call here. He's a regular. He certainly knows I'm 3-betting light. Unlucky on this board. We will not have much to do but fold if he bets, which I think is gonna do a lot, but he checks. Should we ever bluff this one? I would rather bluff on the flop with better blockers to his calls and raises. So I'm just gonna check back and then we'll reevaluate later if to bluff or not. The 6 also is not the best card for us. I'm just gonna fold. Board was just bad. For our hand and our range. King 10. We do raise. Let's get 3 bets. Might call. We are slightly deep stack. Not super happy, of course, but we are going to check call this flop. Unless villain makes it 20, in this case would suck, really. Okay, that's an interesting turn. Would be nice to have some info on villain. Checks back. I think check raising is an option here, because he's not gonna have any nutted hand. Nice. Pocket jacks. Well, we're going to ISO versus this short player near Montpellier. Nice. It's a nice zone of France. Been a couple of times, so that's a nice 3-way pot. That's a nice hand to have in a 3-way pot with 2 bad players. I'm not gonna bet small, I'm gonna bet big because I want to get the max when they have any kind of draw or queen. No, they don't have much, no. I want to make a road trip once. I mean, it's in the plans to make a road trip from Italy until the north of Spain, passing by the south of France. Should be pretty nice. On table 2, it's interesting because we could definitely 3-bet, and I would never call if the big blind was a regular, but given the big blind is probably a recreational player, I don't mind having a cold calling range here. We are gonna check fold here probably. This guy checks back quickly. I don't think he's gonna bluff much. I think if he has a pair and didn't bet on the flop, he's gonna let us go to showdown, so I'm gonna check and see what he does. The river is, I mean, king queen gutter. I don't think he has a lot of king queen in his range after he checks twice. And check the river. If he bets here, it's gonna be very polarized in between pocket tens or nothing. I think with the diamond we can call sometimes. It's gonna be a bit tricky. I don't think we're wasting a lot of money by doing that. Let's see. Okay, that was a weird way to play an ace, but nice. Well done. We bet the pocket nines on table 1. We are gonna bet small on the turn again for theme value. Just check back this river, obviously. Nope, doesn't want me to check back. Sometimes they have a busted draw here. There are a couple that I don't block. Sometimes they're going to have the ace play this way. Rarely the queen. Maybe queen x spade spade. I think it's another coin flip here. We could call, we could fold. Doesn't change too much. I'm gonna call this time. Queen 7. That was. I don't think he knew that he was playing. He wasn't having a nice 2-pair. I think he was happy with his hand, even if it wasn't that nice, given the it was counterfied by the deuces. I'm gonna bet here for value on table 2. Not gonna bet on the river though. Okay, we are gonna bet raise actually on table 1 on the big blind. This guy calls. It's quite active, but I'm not sure it's gonna be super spewy when he's short, so I am going to bet on the flop. He calls. Another queen hits. Gonna fire one more time. I think if you want to fold, it's gonna fold here. Otherwise, we give up. On table 2, we have pocket 8s and calling. It's an option. Not anymore. Table 1, we do raise. Nice gut shot. Nice gut shot with also a backdoor flush draw. We are gonna bet versus this bad player. Probably bad player. Our flush draw gets there. We are gonna fire another bullet. Not gonna fire on the river, probably. Can't enough. We raise on the button. Bet the flop. That's sweet. Queen 10 suited. I would say raising is sweet here. Queen deuce. And ace jack. Ace jack is a fine 3-betting position. You know, it can be tempting to call a 4-bet when you're deep in position, but with a hand like that, if of course 4-bets, I wouldn't go for it. Because of course, a hand like this has huge reverse implied odds. Now this flop hits, this guy cold. I feel like he's not folding much. It's a bit tricky. If I had ace queen, ace king, I would check more often than with ace jack. Ace jack loses to those hands, so it's a bit more in the betting side, but at the same time, I prefer to check back here because it's not nice. Not a nice flop to play versus his calling range, but I would definitely try to bet now. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Kings. We 3-bet in position. If he 4-bets, it's a bit tricky because I don't think he's gonna get it in this deep with anything weaker than aces or kings. So if he 4-bets, I think at the stakes in this pool we should just call, not go for the stacks, but he doesn't, so no problem. Yeah, I think is when you have kings also, I think some people emotionally, even when they're deep, they try to fast play it because they don't want to see the ace on the flop. And I think this is hugely minus EV at the stakes, unless you know your opponent is some kind of maniac. Table 2 we c-bet, that's fine. Table 1 we make a 3-bet and the guy on our left calls. Let's hope UTG doesn't shove. It would be a pretty ugly spot if he shoves. He doesn't, and we flop an ace, so I would say so far so good. Bet something like this versus two weak players. This guy raises. He makes it 2x, could be what we call a raise for info. So I'm gonna check the turn, and depending on how much he bets, I'm gonna choose to call or fold. If he makes it huge, I'm gonna fold. If he makes it this size, I'm gonna call. I think he could have ace jack, ace queen, stuff like this. And I'm gonna check on the river and see what he does. Yeah, I mean it was quite obvious with the hand he had. If I had this king, of course, it would have been easier for me to get value. We raise with aces. When they made the click raise on the flop, I suggest that you have a semi-strong hand like that one. I suggest you call and reevaluate on the turn, because the 2x raise on the flop may be tricky, but on the turn they tend to play face up. I mean, on the flop the 2x could be something hugely strong or something not, as in that case. But they tend to be face up on the turn. So if you call on the flop the 2x and then on the turn they bomb it again, you should be very worried. But if they bet small on the turn, then you can almost be sure that they have something like a top pair, trying to see where he's at, stuff like this. King jack. Gonna call with the king jack. We flop a nice gut shot. He checks. I would mix it versus a regular, sometimes betting, sometimes checking. Deeper we are, the more often we check. This time we check. I'm gonna call the turn, of course, if he bets. Once he checks twice, I feel like betting is a bit better than checking without other info. I would say checking twice, flop and turn. Too much to give up is one of the main leaks you will find at these stakes. Table 2, we go for the 3-bet position. Unluckily, even this guy called, and this flop is really unplayable for our hand. We are gonna check and hope to improve. No, we're not gonna check, we're just gonna fold. And we got ace king. 3-betting and obviously getting it in if they 4-bet. In blind versus blind. Okay. While here versus a small blind limper, we do raise and he folds. That's sweet. Queen 9 off. Let's raise. Yeah, I like the idea of a road trip. That would be really nice to do. As for me, I would love to visit Italy. I've never been there for now. Oh, then you should definitely. There are a lot of nice places to see. I'm not a big fan of calling pocket pairs out of position, deep stack as well, but given our opponent is a recreational player, I think we have a bit more edge and in-play odds than we would normally have. On this flop, we are gonna check call unless this guy bombs it. He doesn't bombs it, so that's... And I think could raise sometimes also. I think it makes our life much easier because he's gonna just fold if he has ace king, ace queen, I think. I'm gonna check now on the turn, and if he checks back, we're gonna see what to do on the river. Ah, this river sucks. This river sucks. Because he could have ace king, ace queen sometimes. I mean, he normally folds it, but he could still have it. And he quickly called on the flop, which could be a draw at a certain frequency. And if he has a draw, it's very likely he has the ace with that, so just gonna fold. Yeah, that turn wasn't the best. Unluckily. 10 jack off. Recreational player raises, we are gonna call, and we flop a nice open-ended. We could check call, we could check raise. Let's see how much he bets if he bets. Doesn't bet big, which is usually a good news for us. We do raise. He calls, another hate. It's... If he's a good player, this is gonna be a bad turn to bluff to most of the times. At the same time, having the 10 of clubs is not terrible. Nice. Before moving to Germany, in which part of Italy, where did you live? So, I moved to Germany, but then I went back to Italy. And before and after Germany, I lived in the same place. And I live in North Italy, in a city nearby. Well, if you're not Italian, the closest city you probably know is Bologna. So in the same region of Bologna. We are famous for the food. As many places in France, we are famous for lasagne, tortelli, stuff like healthy stuff like that. And cars. In my region there is Ferrari, Lamborghini, Pagani. We like cars in this region. It's called the Motor Valley of Italy. And bikes, also Ducatis from here. Nice enough, we do raise. Some trash hands, unlikely. Will we able to open this? Maybe not. More likely we're gonna play this. Okay, big blind calls. We are gonna bet this. A couple of it's a nice care card to keep firing. Could also shove sometimes, but still I prefer to bet. Queen 4 suited. We do raise. Check calls. I would say we have better hands to bluff. I'm gonna start with a check fold. Checks back. Okay, I would bluff this sometimes. I don't think it's checking back enough a flush draw. It could, of course, but I don't think it's doing it enough. Ace King, we do raise. If a deep guy 3-bets, we could also just call sometimes. Okay, we are gonna call here with 5-6. We have a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. Check call on the flop, unless he bets huge, I would say is the most standard line. Okay. Many ways to play this hand. See, betting small is an option. That's an interesting river also. Check call or check raise. I like both lines. You could have a 9 at a pretty decent frequency. I don't think he has all the full houses, because I think you would have bet on the flop, pocket 8, pocket 9s, and pocket queens. Or his 2-pairs. So I would say check raising would have been a really interesting option. He had nothing. I don't know why he didn't do anything. I don't know what he was hoping for when he calls on the turn a small bet and checks back on the river. The best region of Italy for what you're telling me? Well, yeah, not because I'm from here, but yeah. I would say it's one of the best regions of Italy. Unlikely, we also have pollution because we are in a big plain. We also have hills, but the only bad thing of my region in Italy is pollution, which is among the highest in Italy. Kind of a big versus a recreational player, or raise if he bets. Ace 5, heads up. I'm gonna bet this with an unknown. We do raise 10 jack off on table 1. Big blind calls, we flop top pair, gut shot versus a weak player, we are gonna bet. Him raising will be very annoying. Luckily, he doesn't. King 8 suited. I'm gonna play about 5 more minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna quit. Call it a day. Pocket tens on table 2. Okay. This guy bets small. We are gonna raise for theme value protection. Okay. And table 1, we are gonna bet c-bet flop. Definitely c-bet this turn. And if you call twice, I don't think it's gonna fold a lot on this specific river, so I'm just gonna give up. Probably not the guy who would fold it on the river anyway. I'm not a huge fan of firing 3 times versus recreational players. 2 times, I'm a huge fan, 3 times. Something interesting must happen on the river for me to do that. Not much happened today in this session. I made a lot of decent folds, I think. Yesterday's session was funnier for sure. King 10. Gonna fold. We have a terrible hand on the big blind, but if everybody folds, I'm still gonna defend versus a 2x from a recreational player. Still they do. I'm gonna flop a bottom pair. Check raising is definitely an option with a hand like this. Calls, the king hits. Gonna check. Check calling is an option, of course, because none of the draws got there. It is more than likely he has a king now. We are gonna call. River also is a blank. He had silence, which was, I mean, it was weirdly played up. I don't mind it, you know, it was a bit odd, but I don't think there is any issue in play that hand that way. In the field, Queen Jack suited, we make a cold 4-bet. We are probably not gonna call a shove, of course, given how deep we are. Don't know why it's not folding, but it was a fold. Fold intended. We are gonna bet this flop. If we bet on the turn, he's gonna fold all of his draws, I think, so I am gonna bet. And on this river, we can also try to bluff him off any pair if we bet big enough. Nope, not this pair. Not this pair, unluckily. We do a raise with king 5. Terrible flop versus a calling maniac. Fold. King 10, we do raise. And fold here. Pocket sixes. And queen check. Gonna sit down next to playing guys. Too bad we lost something on at the end of the session, but it was pretty much a break-even session anyway. Really nothing interesting happened. But we have aces. Let's see. Maybe we can win a stack at the end. Let's see. That would be nice. Okay. We are gonna bet the flop, bet call versus somebody who looks aggressive, but he quickly folds, so nope. Not gonna get that. And that was it. Share the graph of the session. I think I lost something, but I mean, half a stack, so pretty much a break-even session. I'm gonna anyway share it with you. The graph, if I can catch it. Should do this? Yeah, you should see it now. Yeah, I mean, it was we had to fold a lot, and a couple of spews didn't went well, so didn't expect anything better. But again, as I always say, everything in between +1, -1 is break even. Even +2, -2, I would say. So yeah, see what you mean. I live 15 minutes from a factory. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, you don't feel it, but it's probably not the best. But yeah, whatever. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this stream. If you like this content, please subscribe. That's the best way to support the channel. Sadly, it's hard to escape pollution in our modern world. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you go in the mountains, it's a bit easier, but yeah, if you want to live in a place where there is some kind of services around, you need to live in a decently high-populated area, and it's always polluted. I don't know. Yeah, I would really like to live somewhere with less pollutions, but I would have to give up a lot of stuff. Maybe later in my life I would, after the damage is already done. But yeah, we'll try. We'll try. Thank you again for watching, guys, and see you next